He's well known, and we love to see it. At the end of frames, he's won in snooker. He plays these extravagant exhibition shots. Of course, in pool, you've not won the rack until you pop the 9-ball, so we won't see any of that. It'll be all business. And he wins the lag.
Wins the leg.
Easily. Now we'll see the strength, the effectiveness of his break-off.
That we will, Phil. Highly intrigued to see Mr. Trump here stateside.
Thank you, the first rack. Judd Trump to break.
Looks good to me. One shot, one statement. Well, he's missed the 2-ball. If he's got away with that, he's been fortunate because he went for it full-blooded. They see just sitting behind Judd Trump as his brother Jack, who's his right-hand man, best friend. And now to the table, Joe Magee. Chris Christopherson sang about Bobby Magee. This is Joe.
Just nicks the 2. Let's see if he'll get away with it. He does. So fortuitous start for Mr. Magee. Must be a little bit nervy for both men. Trump with all eyes on him to sort of see what he has in the 9-ball realm. And for Magee, he knows so many British fans are probably tuned in, as well as Americans and others. So highly compelling. Love to see the snooker guys come over and try out pool.
Foul. At contact, ball in net.
Well, that just shows you that he's got an awful lot to learn about the angles of this game.
You're right about that, Phil. He used almost the wrong English in a sense. He kind of didn't judge the spin particularly well there. But let's see, still early.
And also the excessive pace of the shot.
He's pretty brisk, right, in general?
Very much so.
A little close for comfort there, but we're okay. See if he elects to put some right-hand spin and bounce off of the rail and try to spin back towards center table, or if he comes all the way around underneath the 5. This is a touch close, but I think he's okay. It's a bit thin, though, because he has to hit the ball.
Please.
So thinly the cue ball can get away from him, so the goal here is to get position on the 7 naturally. So it's a bit delicate. Used an extension here. Likes to bank it, and we have a miscue of sorts, maybe a foul. Doesn't look like they're calling a foul, and Trump is just right over the ball immediately. Now he stands up to reevaluate.
Yeah, the 30-second shot clock for him will not be a hindrance in the slightest.
A lovely cue ball control. Freezing it on the bottom rail.
He's played in front of thousands of people all over the world, but being in a major pool tournament in the States is a brand new experience for Judd Trump.
Nicely done there from Magee. Yeah, and it has to be a bit nervy. It takes a lot of heart and bravery to come over here stateside and try your hand out at 9-ball in front of all these fans and so on. I respect anybody that shows up. This one's tricky. Both corners are an option. Surprised he's coming with a low ball here.
Foul shot. Ball in net.
Oh, that is the worst possible outcome. Trump to the table, ball in hand. Just a simple 9-ball across the rail. A pair of trousers, they call that in snooker.
Judd Trump wins the first rack.
Okay.
So Trump didn't pot an awful lot of balls, but he potted the ball that mattered. And he gets the first rack on the board. Nothing too impressive about him, though, barring the break, which I thought was pretty good. So this is what Judd needs to familiarise himself with. Winner breaks, which he will do in the second rack. Players must use a forceful break. I don't think that's going to be an issue with Trump after what we've seen in the opener. It's a 30-second shot clock. And of course, if they get a tricky position or a dilemma in terms of shot selection, there's a 30-second extension per rack.
As you were just mentioning, his opening break was really terrific. 3 balls, controlled the cue ball, so that's a great start and great sign for him. And often snooker players or players from other forms of cue sports can struggle with the break.
Leading 1-0.
Let's see if he can keep it up. Really nice. Corner ball, 1 ball. Looks like a safety of some sort beckons. Maybe he can hide the cue ball behind the 3-5 in some capacity.
When it comes to snooker, Judd Trump would play shots as a matter of second nature. Here he's really deeply got to think.
Oh, he plays the bank. Beautiful. Yeah, it must be interesting for you, Phil, to see Trump in the tank of sorts. And
I've been trying to think of a possible analogy between pool and snooker and the two sports and how they stack up. This might not be a good one, but I think it works to a certain degree. What about the sports of rowing and kayaking?
I like that.
Close, but still some distance apart.
Oh, beautiful there. Didn't even touch the rail, which is customary when one plays snooker, of course, as the pockets are so tight. The table's so big. As many of us know, this is one of the best cue sport practitioners, really, of all time.
Well, I'm preaching to the converted back in the UK. All snooker fans know that Trump in full flow is one of the best ever, and that's not an exaggeration. But to pool fans around the world, let me tell you, this guy is just something else.
Yeah, he has one of the great rhythms of all time. When he gets going, it's that freight train sort of situation. Looks like 2-0 in relatively short order. Very nice clearance here.
Judd Trump wins the second rack.
He won the first rack somewhat fortuitously. He wins the second rack in grand style. Doubles his advantage, and he lays down a marker. He's telling the pool world, I can play this game to a certain degree. I might be tough to beat. Tell you what, Emily Fraser, who had the great idea to bring Judd over to this tournament, should be applauded, because this has done wonders, not just for 9-ball pool, but also for snooker as well. To try and break into the biggest sporting market the world has to offer, this could lead to all kinds of stuff. The ace in the pack in Atlantic City. And all of the people who organise snooker will be watching this with great interest, and I think Emily's done them a massive favour too.
The third rack. Judd Trump is leading by 2-0 in the break.
His last 2 breaks have been remarkable. One in the side, corner ball has flown in. Almost makes the 1. It looks like, spoke a bit too soon. The 3 does get in the way, but still really handling the break quite well. And let's see what he comes with here. He could go with a kick safety of sorts. I don't believe he can kick underneath the 3 and make the 1, although maybe he can just squeak through. And he's also eyeing a push out of sorts.
Push out called. Show your options.
Well, had the ball not nestled up so closely to the 6, I'm sure Magee would have tried his luck at something, but being elevated like this is awfully awkward.
Play again, please, yeah.
Does give it back to Judd.
Yeah, I think the first rule of pushing out is to not push into something too difficult for yourself.
Right. Awkward kind of shot here. Curious to see what Judd elects to come with. Just slid a bit on him. Naturally, he was trying to create more space and hook Magee behind some of the balls. Didn't quite get there, and let's see if Joe can get something going here. This is the sort of shot where players like Trump, not that there's many players like Trump, but tend to handle with such grace. Very long, straight shots. Snooker players are so adept at these sorts of shots. And yeah, stunned forward a bit much, so we'll get to see him try his hand at a similar kind of shot again.
Yeah, you see there, you said long, straight shot. For him, that would be nothing more than short, medium range.
Exactly. I was just thinking that. Not that long for him. Nicely done there. And again, content to take these shots that for pool players are pretty long, but as you said, for Judd are a relative mincemeat. Cue ball just gets away from him slightly there. These are the sorts of things about pool that can sometimes elude snooker players until they gain more experience. The spin, the kind of slidey tables. Naturally, it's a different game, but nice safety here.
Yeah, I think the problem there with the previous pot was that he caught it too thin, even though it went in. Had he potted that to the middle of the pocket, the cue ball probably would have been held.
Yeah. Must be pretty intense for Magee. I mean, there's literally a lineup on this match in Britain and in the sports books and stuff. I don't know how many matches he's played where one could actually bet on it in a different country.
Foul shot. That's contact, ball in hand.
Well, it's 3 months and a couple of weeks till Christmas, but that was a gift for Judd Trump.
See what he comes with here, Phil. He could play for the 6-9. He could play for the 6 in a variety of pockets. Curious to see what tickles his fancy. Does just draw back and play the 6 where he played the 5. Nice stroke there.
Another new experience for Judd Trump this evening here. He's being allowed to wear night trainers. Wouldn't be able to do that in a snooker uniform.
No.
And he's racing around the table with those trainers on into a 3-0 lead.
Okay.
With the third racket.
So there you go. Judd Trump has made the perfect start to his pool career
Break now, yeah.
here at the US Open in Atlantic City. He leads by 3 racks to 0. Joe Magee knows he's got his work cut out.
Yeah, all good, yeah.
Millions around the world will be watching Judd Trump make his pool debut with great interest. And I can tell you one individual in particular who'll be watching this
Thank you,
on a spying mission. Draval Kumar Patel from India, who will play Trump in the next round if Trump comes through. And right now, it looks highly likely.
Another nice break from Trump. Makes 2 balls. Has a very tricky shot on the 1 ball. Does look like position is somewhat natural if he just sort of rolls it in and comes 1-2 on a cross to center table or so for the 2, but easier said than done. Oh, that's good there, Phil. Perhaps a little short, but such clean pocketing.
Well, we've already seen 2 things we didn't know. One, we suspected that nothing is going to be safe for him. The thing I'm impressed is that he's breaking off so well. Now, the next aspect, which provides a question, is he able to jump? And if so, how well can he jump?
Right.
Well, there's the answer.
Right. A lot of these guys would have jumped it, already. But I mean, when you can do that, who needs the jump cue? Lovely, Mr. Trump. Round of applause. I mean, that was beautiful.
He's a showman. He loves putting on great exhibitions of shot making, and I'll tell you what, he will be loving this.
Yeah, he really has it all, the game, the style, the presence, and looking like another run out here. Semi from nowhere, as they say, the very difficult one, hooked on the 2, kicks it in. .4-0 is upon us.
Judd Trump wins the rack.
Judd Trump. You know, Trump's a very famous name here in Atlantic City with the casinos owned by Donald. In the past, certainly. Now, though, Judd Trump has arrived on the Jersey shore.
That he has. And one thing's for sure is that he's here to play. I mean, forgive the obvious, but he looks pretty good out there. Few early match wrinkles, but since then he's been pretty solid, and his ball pocketing prowess and just execution is just abundantly clear. And as we've discussed, the break looks pretty good too, Phil.
Yeah, and I have to say this, and I know I'm biased, but what an advert for the game of snooker, that someone can come over here, having never played at the highest level before, at any level before, and put on a show like this at the very first attempt.
And bias or not, it's just objectively true. A pool player could never go
leading by 4 racks to 0.
Go across the pond and do this on a snooker table. So bravo. Corner ball flies in. Cue ball ever so fortunately hangs up. 1 in the side, 2 down the rail. See if Trump can handle this. Looks like the 3 to the 5 is sort of the big question. Okay. Opportunity here for Magee to maybe stop the bleeding a bit.
Yeah, the tightest pockets on these tables undoubtedly are the centre pockets, as Trump discovered there.
Might have taken it for granted a bit.
It's good to be back up here.
Just lag this 2 in right around the dots for the rack. Gets away from him a little bit. He'll have a weird one here.
That shot clock wasn't working. Just that shot before. It's out.
Perhaps he'll try to cut it up the top right. Draw the cue ball over to the side rail and out for position on the 5. Looks like he got away with this. And if he is hooked, which it's a bit hard to tell, he's looking now. It's another example of a shot where a lot of guys would use the jump cue, as we've discussed, might not be in his repertoire. Although it wasn't in Efren Reyes' repertoire either, and he did okay, so.
Yeah, the great female player, Alison Fisher, who made the ultimate transition from snooker to pool. She's often told me that when she first started playing the game, pool that is, the jump shot seemed anathema to her.
Yeah. Oh, my. Oh. What a delightful little kick he got off the 7 there. That was really a thing of beauty.
Stick that in the highlight reel. Stretching over. Maybe ill-advised. If there is one criticism so far of Trump, I think it's on a couple of occasions, and I can understand why. He's hit the balls a little too hard.
Yeah. And respectfully to Magee, one would think that Trump feels quite confident that this one will come home. So he might be getting a bit of a feel for the tables as well. That shot looked a touch experimental and so on. Sometimes when you feel really in command, you can kind of let your stroke out and experiment a bit. There's that shot clock beeping down. Tried to slice it down the rail. Hit it a bit thickly, and let's see how Trump navigates this. Could bank it cross side. Okay, nicely done.
One of the things he's underrated for in snooker is laying snookers and also escaping from them.
Yeah, I suppose that's just a byproduct of his firepower, where people sort of forget how savvy he is with the ins and outs that you just mentioned. Interesting, too, that he's not using a snooker cue. I know it's a different game, but I wonder, because sometimes snooker players still sort of use the snooker cue when they play pool.
I think he's doing the right thing. It's a cue that was given to him by Carl Boyes.
Nice effort there. Yeah, Boyes approved. I mean, got to go with it. And as you said, Phil, wonderful touch he has on these sort of around the table safety type shots.
Yeah, and this is on a surface where he's not really sure of the reaction. Not really sure of the geometry yet.
Magee faced with an awkward one. Judd will be happy to see where the 5 and cue ball reside. Touch steep. I want to see the cue ball just rest on the rail, so I'll have to let his stroke out a bit. He was able to just follow it. Nicely done. It's also a hair short.
Judd Trump wins the race.
You know, earlier on today we were saying quite correctly that these 4.25-inch pockets are tight. To him, they appear like the Grand Canyon.
That they do, Phil. Imagine this table looks awfully small as well.
5-0, and Trump's introduction into the world of pool could not be going any more swimmingly. By the way, in between our sessions today, quite a few big names got through their first match. Jeffrey De Luna beat Ed Abraham 9-5. Torsten Homan, former world champion, he overcame Thomas D'Alfonso 9-6. Chad Fairchild actually walked over Ruslan Chinnikov. The Russian withdrew, and we saw a segment of the James Arenas Sakura Marumatsu contest. That was over on table 2. Well, Arenas won 9-1.
again, corner ball flies in, one flies in the side, two hangs up in front of the side. Doesn't get any sweeter than this.
Earlier on today, I described the notion that certain bookmakers had made Trump favourite to win this tournament as ludicrous. I'm going to downgrade that somewhat to fanciful.
Yeah, mildly ludicrous, but I mean, and you know, not to harp, but the break really was a big question mark, and his break looks fantastic. So this does put him live to make a run. Settle. Okay. See if he draws to the rail and out, or if he's able to just kind of hold it. He does draw to the rail and out, and he just has such a nice stroke. Really does.
There's a big crowd in tonight. 80%, I would say, are watching this match. And what they're seeing is nothing short of a revelation. Okay, Joe Magee might not be the most powerful of opponents, but Judd Trump has taken to the world of 9-ball pool like a duck to water. He leads 6-0. A whitewash is impending. Joe Magee feeling the full force of Judd Trump. Plenty of snooker professionals have experienced what it's like to be blown away by the Juddernaut.
And his fine form on the break really continues. Corner ball flies in. Shot at the 1. See if he can string a few racks here. And you know, Phil, when we were talking about the line that the bookies threw up for Mr. Trump, the 6-1, a bit ludicrous. But at the same time, they're probably so scared of this guy. You can never make him too much of a dog. Just see what he's done snooker-wise. I mean, he's really a champion through and through. 256 came out, though. Let's see. Try to follow cross table. Again, that side poses problems for him.
One player who started his match at the same time as Judd Trump is almost over the line. Masato Yoshioka, who was part of the Japanese team at the World Cup of Pool earlier this year. He leads Edward Epperson, 8-1. And the more you see of this, the more you think, well, it's not a matter of if Trump wins, but when.
It is starting to feel that way. Trying to see if he can squeak the 1 by the 2, or if he'll just elect to roll it in the side. Does try to cheat the pocket and just smooth it down the rail. Give it a few seconds, perhaps. No. Just hangs up.
Well, from the overhead view, that appeared to be defying gravity. More of the ball seems to be over the lip than on the surface.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, now, come on, Joe, your chances here.
Something of a tester here. Well, game were easy, I suppose we'd all play.
Yeah, in fairness, though, that was very poor cueing, wasn't it? Very poor. Missed it by a mile.
Not his best. Nicely done here. Perfect position on the 5 to just slide over to the 6 effortlessly. Easy. Does leave himself just enough angle to navigate. Bravo.
Look at that. Just silky.
Judd Trump wins the rack.
7 of the best from Judd Trump. Joe Magee still to get off the mark. Yeah, shaking his head. He knows he had a chance there to finally get a rack on the board. The chance, it went a-begging. That's the decisive 9 ball. The shot on the 8 to get position on that 9 was simply pinpoint. That is Jack Trump there. Judd's brother. He's one of those annoying people, Nick. He is very good at everything. He's won junior titles at snooker himself, and he's also a scratch golfer.
You can feel it. This whole operation, the Trump posse, you can feel it with these boys.
Rack number 8. Judd Trump is leading by 7 racks to 0, and we break.
Again, watch that 3 ball, watch that 1 ball. Yeah, I mean, if he can keep this up, you know, he'll be a threat. Believe a push out is upon us. Maybe he can thin the 2 and play some sort of a safe, but it doesn't look like he can see it from this angle.
Yeah, my assessment of his break-off is this. It's being effective, most certainly in terms of multiple balls potted. That said, though, to try and retain the cue ball in the middle of the table, he's failing in that regard.
Yes.
Shot called.
I agree with that sentiment. Does need to keep an eye on the rock,
Joe,
as
it's your
they
option.
say. And Magee is going to have to accept this and try to play a safety of sorts. Maybe with a bit of high left, he can bank the 2, 1, 2, 3 around by the 5 and follow up behind the 9, 7, 8. Nicely done, unless he leaves an unfortunate window with a view, as they say. I don't think he has enough to make it in the side, although he's getting right over it, so maybe he does. I'll return safe, and that's lovely there. Wow, my freezes him on the ball, precliviting all sorts of kicks. Beautiful touch there from Trump.
I can't jump that.
This is the kind of hook
Extension, please.
that most certainly was designed for an extension.
Very hard to find a path. He's looking at 1, 2, 3, perhaps underneath the side, on the same side as the 8, 9, 7, and maybe just slide down towards the 2 and get lucky, or 1, 2, 3 above the side, perhaps at the 4th top rail and underneath the 2. And if he's able to reach this and stretch 1 rail, or 1, 2, 3 even the other way, is an option. Here we go. Yeah, that was just a bad
Foul
spot.
shot. No contact, ball in hand. And start the clock, please.
Let's see how Judd navigates this 7-9 being tied up. The 2, 4, 5 aren't hard to manage, but we need an angle on the 5 to careen into the 7-9, hopefully break them up and create a shot on the 7. Maybe he'll come underneath and play it in the side. See what he likes. Does leave himself a nice angle to drag the cue ball across the table into the 7-9. Really wants to hit them rather softly. It looks like he's created a shot for himself on the 7 in the top corner. I believe it passes by the 9 with no issue. Has to kind of punch the cue ball off the rail, a little bit dicey. Looks like he may have just gotten away with this. Referee keeping a keen eye behind him on the legality of the hit.
Yeah, Marcel Eckhart does not miss a trick.
Certainly awkward. Oh. Oh. Oh, Judd. My goodness.
I said before that he wasn't going to play the exhibition shots towards the end of racks because it's important stuff, but that one was.
Yeah, this guy's just a little different.
8-0 ahead, Judd Trump. He's not going to be the first player to win, though, in this session, because a double World Masters champion by the name of David Al-Qaedi from Spain has defeated Fred Upham from the United States of America by 9 racks to 0. And I believe we're going to speak to David right now. While we wait for Al-Qaedi, I must say, even I have been surprised by Judd Trump. To come into uncharted waters like this and play to this level has been brilliant. By the way, also 8-0 ahead, Finland's Mika Immonen against Nathan Childress.
Kept more of an eye on the cue ball, as you were kind of asking him to do, Phil, but alas, he finally came up dry. To do both is the pursuit. And let's see if Magee can get on the board. One time, Magee. Slightly perilous, but okay. The way he's eyeing it, it looks like the 5 is not an issue. It's a touch thick, though, Phil, and perhaps this is all she wrote, although not easy.
Yeah, he's missed a couple of 3 balls, hasn't he? Joe Magee that he should have potted.
So Judd will have to come 1-2 by the 7 and back down. And nicely done there, center of the pocket. Grown accustomed to seeing. Let's see if he comes 1-2 underneath the 9 or just comes 1 rail. Let's just go with 1 rail. Perfect position on the 5 to come 1-2 across for the 6. We could have a 9-0 situation on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. Perhaps a touch thinner than he would have liked. Easy to just assume they're in when this guy slices these down the rail, but this is tricky. Yeah. Another tester of sorts, just high ball probably. The cue ball will come right back to about where he's cueing. Back out for the 8.
It's just as though when he's potting balls and he's got a clear sight at them, nothing is difficult.
Inclined to agree. Such a terrific shot maker. Great to see Mr. Trump get his start stateside, Phil. Real pleasure.
Absolutely, Nick. What a start it's been. And indeed, Joe Magee concedes before the 9 ball goes down. Judd Trump was, to me, a revelation, and I think I can speak on behalf of all snooker folk. We are very proud of you, Judd. What a performance that was. It wasn't easy coming out here to play an alien game that you've hardly played before in the biggest tournament on the planet, and to win 9-0 regardless of the standard of the opposition, I thought was a wonderful achievement. Just to repeat, Judd Trump beats, nay, he whitewashes Joe Magee by 9 racks to 0.
Well, what a pleasure that was to see Judd Trump. And you joined me now, Judd. That was an absolute pleasure watching you. How did it feel out there?
It was nice to get my sort of campaign off and running, and first couple of frames I was quite racks, I should say, actually. First couple of racks I was quite nervous, but as soon as I knew that he wasn't sort of the top player, it sort of helped me get my confidence.
I mean, with the greatest respect, you will have potential tougher challenges, but thinking about you couldn't have got much better, surely. It couldn't have gone any better.
No, 9-0, obviously I'm happy with that. My break-off was pretty good as well. I was putting a lot of balls in, sort of getting some chances which I was worried about before the start, and it just helped me settle down really, and I potted a few good shots as well, which I'm happy about.
Did it go better than you thought it would?
Yeah, I think so. Any time you win 9-0 or the opponent doesn't get a game, in any sport, you're going to be happy with. So just take it one step at a time. I'm not going to get too carried away after that because it was only the first round. Yeah,
in fairness, you have said that for the last couple of weeks, haven't you, just to enjoy it. But you know, you've got some of the best pool players watching that here. They were sort of, you know, looking at you there. Oh, he's pretty good, and you're doing some fantastic trick shots as well. So, just enjoying it, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, now I'd go away and Carl, my newfound pool coach, I'll just have a quick chat with him just to try and get some feedback, because I've got no idea where I was going wrong, what I was doing wrong, if I was too attacking and stuff like that.
It is some of the action here, Judd. I mean, the crowd. There was a good crowd in here as well to watch you. I mean, that was the end of the match. But I mean, I felt sorry for Joe Magee there. But there's some of your action here. Were you more confident as the game went on?
Yeah, because I was worried about missing sort of easy balls at the start of the game, but I didn't really miss it. I always felt in control. I potted some really good shots, and yeah, by the end at sort of like 5 or 6 now, I felt confident, and like in the next game, I'll have a little bit more confidence now.
Maybe a few more jump shots?
Yeah, I didn't really get a chance there to get my jump shot out, but hopefully next game I'll get a chance for people to see that.
And now you're on a table in a proper competitive match. What were the biggest differences for you compared to a snooker table?
To be honest, this table plays so good compared to what I've been practicing on. So it was so nice. It kind of in snooker, when you play on an outside table and to the main table, for me, this is like my bread and butter. I love being out there with like a crowd around, and there's a lot of people here, a lot of attention. It's not often you get the sort of top players out in snooker to watch you, so it's a different feeling.
And you've openly said as well, you know, the World Championship in snooker, you want bigger crowds. You want, you know, you like this kind of razzmatazz, don't you?
Yeah, it's a complete different atmosphere, having sort of everyone around at tables. Just everyone's a bit weary and don't know what to expect from me, so it's just nice to get that one out of the way.
Is it good for you on a personal level, though? You know, it's nice to have a bit of a change. I mean, you've changed sports.
Yeah, it's good because it gets me out of my comfort zone, and it's a different type of pressure when I come here, because in snooker I'm so confident of myself, and I get to the pool world and I know everyone else is expecting me to sort of clear up every single time, so it's a different type of pressure, but it's one where I can hopefully take back to snooker and learn from.
Look, Judd, you will have bigger challenges, but even so, it really was a pleasure to watch you out there tonight. Many congratulations.
Thank you very much.
There's Judd Trump there. What a start for him in this US Open tournament. Let's have a look at the order of play for you then. So, confirmation of earlier results. Joshua Filler winning 9 racks to 2 in his first match. Albin Ocean winning 9-0 against Scott Haas. And as you see there, Judd Trump winning 9-0 against Joe Magee. And what a final match to come. Shane Van Boening against Francesco Candela. And we've got